All right, we are live. Hello, Facebook friends. Today we're going to talk about a really good topic, and it's basically the reason people succeed or fail, right? I've learned this past year that this accountability is where people drop the ball, or if they, get to where they want to go. So I've got Sondra Ray here to talk about accountability, and this girl is on it. She was like on me to post and to links. I'm like, oh shoot, I guess I forgot to send you the link. And she's like, where are we meeting? So yes, thank you so much. You are, just by a few little things that you've done really tells me that you are the person to talk to when it comes to accountability. And you also are a virtual assistant, right?
Correct. Hi. Thank you so much, Catherine, for the time today. Yes, I'm a goal accountability coach, and I do offer virtual assistant services too. So I do both. I wear both hats. So that is
Awesome. And I can tell that you are just on top of things, right? So yeah, without accountability, guys, I probably would not have done as much as I have done in my life, right? I've competed as a cheerleader at the world's cheerleading competition, and without those coaches beating my ass, like there's no way I would have been able to get there. With real estate, I've got a whole team at my brokerage who's constantly encouraging each other to do better, to share and do more. And then my online business, I've got a business partner who is my accountability partner as well, and constantly pushing me. I give ideas and she runs with it, and I have to catch up. So accountability, coaches, partners are so important to help you get to where you want to go. So Sondra, tell us what your tips are to achieve more.
For sure. Just a little bit of background. I'm a mother of 5, so I have 4 adult kids. They're alive, I promise. Oh my goodness. 4 adult kids. Let me pronunciate.
We're gonna have to cut this short.
Yeah, cut this short. 4 adult kids, mini Christmases, children, 4 adult children. I'm going to use that word. And one is married, one is engaged, and then I have a 13-year-old, 13 and a half, as she reminded me the other day. I'm 13 and a half mother. Mini me at home. So having goals and accountability is super extremely important as a mom and a business owner. I feel that accountability is huge in having goals, and it's really funny, not funny, but kids are always watching us, and it's a true testament when my kids will come to me and go, okay, this is my goal, Mom. Like, how do I break it down and create the action plan and accountability? Or they'll tell me something, and I'll follow up a couple of days later. I'll be like, did you do X, Y, and Z? Did you call the landlord? Did you, talk to the boss, talk to whatever? And they'll just be like, oh, okay, Mom, I'm your child. I don't need accountability. Like, yes, you do. Everybody needs accountability. I need accountability. Yes. I need accountability. And then they flip it too. My 13-year-old came the other day and she was just like, Mom, you said X, Y, and Z, and you've not done X, Y, and Z, and I'm highly frustrated with you. And I was like, I was like, you're right. Like there was no the facts were the facts, and the facts were I did not follow through. So
kids will definitely keep you accountable to what you've promised. Absolutely. They will not forget, and they will not let you pass.
Right. Totally, 110%. So she was like adamant. She's like, look, open your calendar and show me that you're going to put this on the calendar right now. And I was like, okay. And we got it done. And it's off her to-do list and my to-do list, thank goodness. So we can move on from that. But yeah, accountability. I've used accountability for the last 8 years. And it started with a health journey. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, the typical cliche, but I was at the highest weight I had. I had a 4-year-old. I had 2 kids in high school that were very active, and I was gone 12 hours a day, sometimes 15 hours a day, and just exhausted because I couldn't keep up with everybody. So I used a health coach and a health community to help support me, and it was group accountability and one-on-one accountability. And that helped me to lose my initial 100 pounds in 2 years to be able to be at my optimized health so that I could keep up with everything that was going on. And it's definitely, I still work on my health. Health goals are a big part of my life and a part of my health journey. And, that is something that I love to be able to role model to my kids and to my family, and that, your health is important, physically and mental health both. So I definitely use accountability still to this day. Just I change it for whatever season I'm in. I talk about accountability seasons. So accountability seasons are something to take um, account for, because every season you're in, accountability is going to look different. So maybe you need the one-on-one coaching, maybe you need the group coaching, maybe you just need that BF that's going to hold you accountable. So knowing what season you're in is extremely important so that you know what kind of accountability you need. And then reviewing your accountability. I was just talking about this. We're 6 months into the year already. So, what's worked, what hasn't worked, how's your accountability working? Maybe your accountability partners haven't talked in a couple of weeks, and, you need to check in, or maybe they're not the right fit for you and you guys need to move on to different people. So making sure you review your accountability. I say at least once a quarter. So when you're reviewing those quarter goals, to review your accountability and see what kind of season you're in and if it's working or not working. And when you're reviewing, you also need to make sure you're taking stock of what are you doing on your part. Don't put it all on the accountability partner. Are you checking in? Are you doing X, Y, and Z? Are you using it effectively on your end before abandoning it? Because if you're not doing what you said you're going to do, then it's really hard to blame the accountability partner and be like, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z. Well, you never texted me your goals, or you didn't check in for 2 weeks. So just to make sure that you guys are on the same page is extremely important, whether it's your BF or it's accountability group, or whether it's a coach of some sort, for sure to make sure you check on those. So
For sure. I'd like to make sure that everything is written down and sent off to somebody what you're going to do, because chances are if you've written it down or you've typed it out and you've sent it out to the universe, someone's going to hold you accountable.
You're 60% more likely if you write it down. You're 75% more likely if you get accountability for it. So those are the scientific statistics behind that. The other part that I very much focus on is your brain is made for processing, not storing. So write it down, 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 write it down. And that's why my daughter made me open the calendar and write it down, because she knew that mom was going to forget the next day when the doctor's office opened back up to, it was that night, so I couldn't take care of the appointment right there and then. So she's like, write it down. And she knew it had been on the to-do list for a long time, but it wasn't on the calendar task list to get it done. So she knew where it needed to go, because I brain dump faithfully, weekly at least, and a lot of time, and then I add to it through the week. So she knew it was on the brain dump list. She could see it, but she knew that it wasn't on my task list. When it came to the task list for the day is where the stumbling block was. So she was like, okay, mom, got to put it on the schedule to get it done. So very big on brain dumping your brain. And I've proven that over and over to myself all the time, is that your brain is made for processing, and that if you can just be doing things versus trying to remember X, Y, or Z. I was in a meeting before we started talking, or an hour ago, and I was like, wait, I don't have a link. Like, wait, we got to stop this. I got to pause talking to you for a minute because I don't have the link for the next meeting, because I was like, this is going to distract me and I'm not going to concentrate on your meeting while I'm worried about a link for a different meeting. So, and a lot of times that's, if if you need to write it down. But then if it's a 2-second, send off a message, get it done type thing, which is what I did with you. I just like shot you a quick message. I'm like, give me 2 seconds to shoot her a message. And
I do the same thing before I forget. I'm like, I got to get that done now, because seriously, if I waited another 2 seconds, it would have been gone. Right. So yeah, definitely. Like some things, if it's going to take just a split second, I just do it right away. But yeah, otherwise, if it's not in my calendar, it's not going to happen. If it's not written in my agenda, it's not going to happen. Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah. Hi, Vanessa. Yeah, for sure. And my whole family knows that now. So they'll just be like, Mom, can you put on the calendar time with me, or can we schedule something? Or especially with adult children that are not in the home anymore, they'll just be like, okay, where can I schedule time with you, or what are you doing this weekend? And my 13-year-old on the weekends, because I don't necessarily bring up the weekends, but she will remind me, hey Mom, like let's just dump everything you want to do this weekend out, then we can divide and conquer, which makes it easier for the family to help you too if they know what you want to accomplish around the house or the activities that are going on. I'm the keeper of the schedule for the whole family, and I think most moms are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we can't store everything in
your brain. Exactly.
We wear too many hats. There's just too much. So it has to be, on a calendar or on paper or on a dump board, dump board, right? So that everyone can share, right? Exactly. Even my husband's like, oh, are you free here, this day at this time? I'm like, I don't know. Look at my calendar. You have access, right? Don't ask me. I don't know. Unless it's Thursday at noon, I know I'm here.
Right. For sure.
That's the only thing that is set on my schedule. Otherwise, like everything's, everywhere. I've got people booking chats with me all the time on my virtual calendar. And so I don't know when those are booked until I get an email and saying, hey, you've got a meeting today at this time.
Exactly. And we do grocery list on the board. Yeah, we have a board with the grocery list. Yeah, like I do the grocery list on the weekend, but they add to it throughout the week. Mm-hmm. So we definitely do that.
Yeah, I haven't gotten on that train yet, although I have the task list created. I haven't given that to my kids because I know that all they would do is like mac and cheese, chips, like all the stuff we don't need is what they'll put on there.
I have the final say. So it's on the board, but I'm the one that adds it to things. So yeah. And then, but my husband actually does our shopping. So that's one of the errands he likes to do. So I'm like, sure, go for it. But I do make the list and I do make the meal plan. Cause yeah, we do have mac and cheese and pizza every night, and no veggies or anything like that. So I definitely put all that on there. And it's funny because when I was just out of town and I went and they stayed back, and he's used to emailing me the list, or I email him the list, then he pulls it up on his phone, so it's on his phone. And he emailed it to me while I was out of town. And I was like, well, I can tell you what they're eating this week based on the little amounts of protein. And there's like one veggie listed. I was like, nobody's eating any veggies while I'm gone. But I had to laugh, and they're just like, how'd you know? I'm like, based on the grocery list, I knew that, you didn't have veggies and very many veggies. And I know what proteins you had because that's on the list. So it was just like, well, we could have, I'm like, you could have ordered out or gotten a salad or something. But yeah, it was so funny that was for sure. But yeah, so and accountability is actually not only have I used it for my health journey, but I use it for my business, of course. And I went from working a business part-time to getting full-time into my business. And it really was the accountability of, did you do what you said you do? Those back-end things that us business owners don't always like to, take care of or have time for or whatever, those little things. And, when you get the fifth no from a client or whatever, accountability partners are great for that. Okay, that was, one more no is one more step to yes. And those things to help you, encourage you. I think accountability I come from the cheerleading standpoint of accountability. So it's about, not what you didn't get done, but what lesson can we learn from it and what can we apply to the next thing? Okay, that didn't work, so let's try X, Y, or Z. Or it's I don't come from the drill sergeant way of, why didn't you do it? It's like, okay, well, you didn't do it or you did do it. Okay, well, how can we do it differently, or what would be different for you to get it done standpoint. And I find that a lot of clients like that because they have partners or business partners or spouses that, downgrade what you didn't get done instead of what you did get done. So,
Yeah. And sometimes it's just like, well, I didn't get it done because I just can't figure it out. I'm stuck. I don't know. So that's why having an accountability partner, like someone to kind of just mastermind with, bounce ideas off of. Sometimes, they'll say something, you're like, yes, I got it. Like I do that all the time. Like they didn't actually tell you how to do it, but something they said just triggered. And like for me, I'm like, ding, 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 like light bulb moment. And I'm like, thank you. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna write this down before I forget.
Yeah, the sounding board. I had one that she had really clear goals, but the action steps of it, she just needed to literally, I think I said 5 words in 30 minutes, but by the time she had a page and a half action plan written that she wrote herself, like I didn't even write it. I was just like, okay. She'd be like, does that sound good? I'd be like, okay, yep,
Yeah.
yep. And she's just like, how helpful this is? And I'm like, you just paid me 30 minutes to listen to you. That's all I did was listen. Literally. I think I said okay like 5 times.
But
and she was just
sometimes it's just getting people to sit down and say, when are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Where, like what time, everything, like time block it into your schedule, right? And then actually sit there and do the task that you set out to do, right?
Exactly.
So I know in my business it's a little hard because my schedule is all over the place, but there are some times where I actually have control of, right? Sometimes, from noon till I would say 9 o'clock, I really don't have control, but that's on me. Like I let my clients kind of choose, right? Because it's hard, you want to see a home, but we got to see a home after she's done work or they're done work, right? Yeah. So for me, it's hard to schedule, but in the mornings, I typically have control over that. And so if I'm time blocking, I have to do those tasks in the morning. And soon when my gym opens, if anybody lives near me, I will need an accountability partner because I need to get my butt to that gym. And I am going to be waking up probably at 5:30 in the morning so that I can get to that gym, so that I can do all these things I still want to do and not take up time during my working hours.
Exactly. Pouring into yourself first, which is so important, especially as a woman entrepreneur and a mother, is that you have to pour into yourself. And I'm the same way. If I don't do it first thing in the morning, there's no workout, there's no reading, there's no journaling. None of that's going to happen anytime after 8 a.m. Like after that, it's forget it. It's on depending on who's getting up when. But I agree that morning routine is so huge, and being able to pour into yourself first, of course, so that you can be showing up as your best self, and then also knowing what you want to do in that morning block of time, work time that you have, whether it's admin or social media or family stuff.
I can't remember who it was, but I saw a talk, and this was one. It might have been. It was a big shot, like maybe the guy from Amazon. I can't remember, but he would have theme days. Mm-hmm. So one day, you say you're going to do all your run around tasks, maybe. Right. Next day, you're paying all your bills or whatever, and
financial.
Next you're writing, creating social media content. So he had theme days, which worked for him. Like there isn't going to be one strategy that's going to work for everyone, but if you find something that works for you, like run with it. Just stay with it. You keep up with it, and you'll get there.
Right. And I do my coaching's all one-on-one, and people are like, why don't you do groups and da da da. I said, because it's not a one fit all. It's a customized plan. I mean, because even like somebody like what blog post writing and all that stuff, I'm like, well, but everybody's creative process is different. So the customized plan might be for them is to do research, this, and this. And somebody else might be just jump into writing, or
Yeah.
I said, so even the customized action plans, yes, they can be templated to a certain extent, but to me, I feel like that's where I'm able to help you get it down into bite-sized pieces, detailed bite-sized pieces. So, if other people are involved, because people have a tendency to write action plans and they don't realize they have to put in, like you're a realtor, so you're gonna, talk to the financial person, the client person, the buyer, the seller, all those things have to be in the action plan because they're important steps and they take time. And people have a tendency to forget. Oh, I just want to do 1, 2, and 3. Okay, well, step 2 requires you to send it to the, let's say, a piece of writing to the editor, and you have to wait for the editor to get it back to you, which is going to add time to your timeline. And then people just get frustrated and they're just like, forget it. I didn't do the right steps. So it's like, I do help
sometimes
people.
You have to do them in the right order. You can't just bounce around, right? Like a lot of people go, okay, I just want to look at houses, and then when I find the right house, then I'll get mortgage. I'm like, no, that doesn't work that way. We need to find out how much you qualify for, because what if you start looking at homes that you're not even qualified for, and now your expectation of a home is now up here, and now your finances say we're only here. Exactly. So now making that switch is going to be so hard. It's
so frustrating.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to do things in order. Sometimes you don't. You could do this or number 3 while you're waiting for number 1 or whatever. But sometimes you can't. So
right. Yeah, knowing that procedure and knowing those steps. Because some people want to skip to number 3 because it's the fun part, or it's it's the exciting part. It's like, people don't want to create the back ends. They just want the the project at the end, or the home at the end. I want a home at the end. Oh, wait a minute, there's X, Y, and steps. I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. I just want to go, move into this house. So, and I've helped with 2 of my adult children, helped with selling and buying, both ends of things. So, and relocating. So we've relocated one super far away.
And you know what? Sometimes it's fine that you want to skip to number 3 and don't want to do 1 and 2. Then you hire out 1 and 2. Exactly. You hire someone that is good at it, that will have it done now.
Exactly.
Rather than waiting for you to be like, oh, maybe tomorrow when I feel like it, right?
Exactly.
Because that's never going to come if that's not something you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I do help clients figure out their zone of genius. So if their zone of genius is, I had one that was sales. She didn't want the back end stuff. She just wanted to go out and make the sales. And I'm like, well, that's great, but somebody has to do the deliverables. Somebody has to do the marketing and all that, create the systems and stuff like that. So she's like, okay, well, then I'm going to hire a system person. I'm going to hire a deliverable. I'm like, that's cool. She had an agency, so she was able to do that. But I do help clients figure out their strengths and weaknesses, their zone of genius, so that we can figure out how to outsource as much as we can and be creative with it. I think there's a lot of ways to outsource that people just automatically think you have to pay somebody X, Y, and Z, Boohoo Box or whatever, and that's so not true. There's so many creative ways to outsource things. I mean, and I think people don't think to tap into certain resources, even in their own home. My 13-year-old has done many, many business tasks for me. She's, they're
very proficient.
They're proficient. They're tech savvy. They're social media savvy. All those things. And people will just be like, my kid. And I'm just like, yeah. And a lot of times I'm like, they want to learn those things and use those things and things like that. So tapping into the resources is something that I help my clients figure out, whether it's barters or internships or paying somebody. I mean, yes, there is definitely times and places to pay for things. It's definitely a probability, but when you're first starting out or when you're wearing multiple hats, you have to just get creative with those things. So it is definitely something to help. And then if it's in my zone of genius, in my skill set, that I will help on the VA side of things, that's where the VA comes in, is to help them get things done. And take them off their plate. So I like to set up systems and organize systems and task management and things like that, project management, things like that, some social media management things I can do. So I will add that into part of my services so that we can get things done and get things off their plate. Because in the end, that's what I want. I want my clients to be able to achieve their goals and get everything done that they want to set up to do.
For sure. For sure. That's why, like, for you, you're kind of like the all-in-one accountability package, because one, you can, guide them in creating their process, as well as help do some of the work, right?
Right.
And be on them if they're not doing what they set out to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. And I firmly believe that people have goals. Sometimes they just need somebody to listen so that they can help them write them out and figure out that what they are, or I work with lots of love my super creative types that have 1,000,001 ideas but execute on 0 or execute poorly because they can't stay focused on one task or one goal at a time. Most of my clients usually own multiple businesses, and so they have to wear multiple hats. But business A might be suffering because they're focusing on B and C, or maybe they have a launch in C and A and B need to be maintained. So we definitely talk about, what goals and resources we can use in, business A and B while you're super hyper focused on business C, or, you're a mom and you got kids and all those things that you still have to juggle into that. So yeah, I definitely work with clients on that. It's a great idea. I call it the parking lot. We can always put ideas in a parking lot and it can sit there while we're still achieving X, ABC goal, and then X, Y, and Z goal can come back into play, or we can revisit that in a month or a couple of weeks and see if that fits into your schedule. I'm very, like I said, I'm very cheerleading, but I can put on the drill sergeant, I guess, the captain hat, and be like, okay, where does this really fit into what your goals, your overarching goals are, or how does this fit in right now? I had one where she just relocated back to the U.S., and so it was just her and her kids at the time, and 3 businesses already, and she wanted to go back to college. And I was like, where does that, like, I'm all for professional and personal development and all that stuff, but she had twins. And I was like, okay, the twins are in activities, you're running 3 businesses, you're single parenting it at the time. Where are you going to take a class? Just one class. And I was like, well, that's great that it's just one class. I get that. But okay, so you have to go to class. So that's 2.5 hours of your day, of your week. And then you're supposed to study at least, we'll be conservative and say 2 to 3 hours. So I'm like, okay, it's 5 hours. I was like, okay, open your calendar and show me 5 hours in your week where you're going to study and go to class. She just looked at me. She goes, never mind. She had 5 hours. Like, she had 3 businesses and was running around single parenting twins at the time. I was like,
that's okay. Where there's a will, there's the way. So right, what you can't do, you hire out.
Exactly.
And I was on that one thing, fine, hand off something else.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was just like, okay, if you can get creative and create this time and space to do it, while, working on your health goals, because I talk about personal and professional goals. So, your health goals right now is to get adequate sleep and work out and proper nutrition and all those things. I said, so we're not giving up sleep to do this, to do this class right now. Because that's one of your goals right now is to, and so she's like, okay, I'm like, so just put it in the parking lot. Like, let's revisit in the summer when the kids are out of school, or when, your spouse comes, when your spouse is able to join you so that you have an extra hand, things like that. I'm like, I'm not against it completely, but I'm like, let's be realistic. I love my creative types, but sometimes I need that reality check of, okay, it's just not doable right now, or I need to outsource more, or how much is this going to cost me time and money wise to add this to my plate, and is it worth it? Does it really align with what I want to do?
And as an entrepreneur, you have to know what your hourly rate is, right? So that's how you would determine if it is worth it or not. How much is your time worth? Exactly. I know I'm a workaholic and it sucks. And, my son the other day was like, like, Mom, how much do you make?
Oh,
And I
no.
told him, and he's like, well, I do have that much money. Can I pay you so you can spend some time with me? And I'm just like, dude, like, you don't need to pay me, right? Yes, that's how much I make, but like, honestly, this kid's on his computer all the time, and we're trying to grab him out of his chair to like come spend time with the family. So it's not like we don't spend time. It's just he doesn't feel like it because he only sees that when he wants to get off his computer, and he's like, oh, when I want to get off my computer, you don't have time.
Okay. Yeah. To get him to
Right?
understand that. Yeah. My time is valuable. Your time is valuable. So where can we meet in the middle here and get,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, sometimes you need to know what your worth is, and you need to just hire that out or get a
exactly.
partner, right?
Right.
I've got a great partner, Vanessa, here, who, she can do things that I can't. I can do things
Exactly.
that she can't,
Right.
right?
Right. Everybody has their
Or
strengths and
I'm just
weaknesses.
more efficient at things, and I leave like website building and stuff to her, and I will create automations
Right.
on my end, right? Because
Exactly.
that's I like doing it.
Right.
And I'm quicker at it. And
Exactly.
so, like, if you can't juggle it all, and I don't recommend you juggle it all, find somebody who can, that you can partner up with, right? And it also creates that accountability factor as well. You have somebody to report to, you have somebody to be accountable to. So if you tell somebody that you're going to do something, you better do it, because this
Exactly.
partnership ain't going to work if somebody falls off and doesn't do their part, right? Like,
Exactly.
I come from a team environment, right? With cheerleading, like, if somebody doesn't do their part, like, that, our whole pyramid crumbles, right?
Exactly. Somebody's gonna get hurt physically. Somebody will get
Yeah,
hurt.
not only that,
Exactly.
but like, it just won't work, right? And
Right.
everybody needs to trust everybody, which is very, very hard to do when you're holding up people, and you throw them, and they're trusting you to catch them,
Exactly.
right? Like, I know it's hard,
Right.
in business, the same thing. You just sometimes have to trust someone to do their part, and let them do it. And I've learned, because I'm a perfectionist, even if they don't do it the way you want to, sometimes it's just better to have it done
Yep.
than perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's why a lot of people shy away from using their kids, because they don't, not using their kids, but tapping into their kids' resources. So they're like, they're not going to do it the way I do it. Nobody's ever going to do it the way you do it. Ever,
No.
ever, ever, ever. Your spouse, your child, nobody's going to do it the way you do it. So yes, you have to be able to accept the way they do it. And sometimes they're going to do it better than you. There's going to be the opposite too, where they're not going to do it like you, but they might do it way better. Like you said, Vanessa does, X, Y, and Z, and that's her strength. So everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and knowing that and being able to tap into each other's is so important. And then, of course, the accountability piece of that is that, yeah, doing what you said, building that trust. And yeah, if you can't trust your coach or your accountability partner, then yeah, you need to rethink that relationship so that you can get the most out of it, because you're going to always be questioning what they're doing when you need to focus on what you're doing. So yeah, making sure that you have that trust built with them. And that's why I like working with my clients at least 3 months to build up a relationship and build up that trust, so that they know I'm going to show up for them just like they're going to show up and do what they're supposed to do. So super important to be able
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. If you do have, an accountability partner, yeah, make sure that your values align, right?
Exactly.
Make sure that you're not aligning with somebody who's kind of flaky, right? Like,
Exactly.
I can't do flaky. If you say you're gonna meet at this time, like, I expect you to be there and not make up some excuse. And the worst one would be, oh, I forgot, or, oh, I have something else booked. Well, yeah, you booked with me as well. So like you need to make your priorities straight, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, and sometimes it's hard with like, say coffee chats. Sometimes they run on and you've got another meeting, right? I
Right.
don't know if you've experienced it. I've had someone go, "Oh, I was stuck in a work meeting and I couldn't get out." Well, like maybe at least, you probably still have your phone on you, like send a message, right?
Exactly.
Like for me, I'm flexible. I can work on my computer while I'm waiting sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, like having somebody be professional
Exactly.
is going to help you with your business and help you get to where you want to go so much easier, so much faster. And here's another idea. I recently talked to like a BNI group. Have you done BNI?
I mean, I know what they are, but no, I have not done those yet.
Yeah. So I've kind of sat in on a meeting, and it was really interesting. How much referral business that they do, and how much they kind of help each other, as well as in like some really good Facebook groups. You post a little issue or problem that you have, and like, man, a swarm of answers will come right at you. So being able to find, what a group that's really helpful as well, that's a great way to get stuff done as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Somebody was asking me how I was doing speaking engagements, and I said, well, a lot of it's going in Facebook groups and people are advertised they're doing X, Y, and Z, or they want a guest, um, or this is the topic or whatever. I said it's a matter of doing that legwork of going in and looking for those. And then I'm very big on going in groups and giving value, of course, as much as I can. But yeah, when I need something, I've been looking for something recently, and I was in today. I was like, I'm still looking for this. If anybody knows, a Pinterest manager, I'm still looking for one. And I have a couple of messages, I have to return a little bit later today where people are like, oh yeah, I seen that in this Facebook group or that Facebook group. And then my free consultation, I do a free consultation. So I offer that. And I had some people hit me up today asking me about the link, the free get it done consultation that I help people, give them just a taste of my coaching, and we talk about goal achieving and how that, and then how to use accountability. So yeah, definitely love going on Facebook and getting involved is crucial and helpful,
Yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah. And I love just putting words out there, and then people keeping me accountable to what I do. Because there will be people just like you who will be like, hey, you mentioned this. What happened?
Totally, 110%. And then, yeah, I'm in a couple of masterminds where we do the same thing. Like, yeah, we had a
Yeah.
co-working session this morning, and it was like, what are you going to get done? And I was happy to say I'd actually got everything done that I said I was going to at the beginning of the co-working session, because I was just like, I have a tendency, it's so easy to get distracted nowadays with social media and your phones and computers, and it's summer started in the United States this week for some, and in the next week or two, and kids are on different schedules and all those amazing things that like to distract you and
Yeah.
pull you. So
And for the summer, when kids are out of school, how is that going to affect everyone's productivity? Is that
exactly.
like, what are you going to do so that you can stay on track? Right? Is it going to be like me where I'm going to be getting up at 5:30 in the morning? I don't know how that's going to happen, but it's going to get done. I told people that I am doing it, so it's going to get done. I calculated. I'm like, this is how much I'm paying for my membership. I just have to go at least once a week. I mean, obviously, I'm going to try at least three times a week. here's the other thing: wording. How you word things is also going to make a difference. So
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that T word. I try not to use that
no,
T
I'm not
word.
going to try. I'm going to get up at least 3 times a week to go get in my workout. And it's, I mean, it's a lot easier when you love it, right? Like I'm going to go to the yoga classes like that. I love yoga. And I love that a new gym by my house is opening up. Like I've never gone to a gym. Like I've never had a gym membership before, but I know that I just hate driving, right? So I don't want to go far to go to a gym. So I read Atomic Habits, which is really good if you want to start being, getting things done and being accountable to yourself. Atomic Habits just teaches you incremental changes or habits that you can create
Exactly.
to, achieve what you want.
Exactly. And habit
Yeah.
stacking those habits on top of habits. So yeah,
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 yeah. And they don't have to be big, extravagant changes, like a diet change or like whatever, right? Just small things. And you need to do it for 21 days. And then after 21 days, it becomes habit and it'll become easy, right?
exactly,
The one thing that you want to do is make things easy, right?
exactly.
If the easier it is, the easier it'll be to implement.
Yeah. And then a lot of people don't think about, but your evening routine affects your morning routine. So if in the evening you lay out your gym clothes and you have your gym bag by the front door and you have your breakfast prep for the next day, um,
Ooh, good one.
mine is going to bed at a decent hour because my family likes their night owls, so they'd rather stay up and do X, Y, and Z until 11:30 at night. And I'm just like, cannot get up after, like, I'm one of those people that need their sleep. So I have to start getting ready for bed 9:30ish, quarter to 10 at the latest, to be in bed by 10:30. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But getting accountability to that too, whether it's your family going, okay, mom, you said you're going to be off your phone, or my phone has a bedtime mode. So it'll go gray. So it has an alarm where it turns my phone gray. And even though if I'm not paying attention to the time, it turns all my phone gray and it turns my sound off. So I'll be like, oh, it's time to go to bed. The bedtime, my phone is not gray.
Yeah.
And it's funny. There's so many things you can do to set up for the day before the next day. I always keep my journal and my book and everything that I'm reading in a same pile, and the pens with it, and like all of it's together so that I don't have to go searching for a writing utensil, or where did I put the book, or where did I put the iPad, or whatever I'm going to use depending on what I'm doing the next day. But having all that together and set out to be successful the next morning is definitely huge. And then, like, I know with my daughter, we put, when I was down there, the baby, the my grandson goes to daycare, so like have his backpack, emptying it and refilling it for the next day, and the lunchbox, emptying it and having it open and available, like the snacky parts in there, but like the fresh stuff that needs to go in the next morning, having that right there beside her, making sure the water cups filled and all those things make it for a less hectic morning. Even with me, extra help being there, we still did her routine because that was what she did and that's what worked for her. She just happened to have an extra pair of hands because I was around. But having that, and then you're in the same thing with your pets. Like my dog, it's very big on, let me out, sit down and snuggle with me for a few minutes, and then I'll eat my breakfast or whatever. And he has been missing out on that because I've not been doing that lately. And like he will pout. He will pout. And then when my husband comes in, he'll just be like, rah, 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 rah. I'm just like, he's like, you didn't spend time with him this morning. I'm like, no. Um, so our animals will get in routines too if you
Yes.
plan that and so forth. They get used to that. And my daughter's dogs were not used to somebody being home since I was down there. So
Yeah.
it threw their routine off because they're just like, wait, nobody's usually here during the day. Everybody's at work. So your animals will get in routines too, just like you can get in routines. And then, yeah, the summer's here. So you have to adjust and figure out what routine's going to work now to get what you need to get done and what your family needs to be done. So
Yeah.
setting that new schedule for the summer, it's just a new season. So
Yeah.
literally a new season. So getting that
Yeah.
set up.
All right. So, in summary, to get stuff done, I know I used a different word in my. So, to get stuff done, what are the biggest points that we've talked about today? How do we get things done on time? How do we reach our goals? What are your tips?
Okay. So number one, set a goal. Some people don't set a goal. Some people just keep spinning their wheels trying to figure out what they want to do. Two, have a customized action plan so you can do it in bite-sized pieces. Three is don't keep it in your brain. Your brain's for processing, not storing. So write it down, write it down, write it down. I tell people to use their phones just because you have your phone on you 24/7. So just have a notepad that you keep dumping on. Because like I said, we always have our phone on. So Google, has a lot of apps you can use to dump things on. Google Keep, Google Docs, or things like that, or
Tasks.
task lists. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but just have one main place where you can keep dumping it so you can keep going back to it. And then the fourth is getting accountability, of course, whether that's paid accountability through a coach or a mastermind or a group, or whether it's a friend, your BF, your family members. You need to figure out what accountability works for you. You need to set up times that you're going to meet with them. You need to have written goals with them so that you guys know what you're both working on the same page. Because like I said, you're 60% more likely if you write it down. You're 75% more likely if you have accountability. So, and just make sure you're reviewing your accountability, reviewing your goals, making sure that they're still working for you. There's nothing wrong with changing, but you don't know until you review. So, and then my last tip would be celebrate the wins. There's always a win.
Yes.
You made it. You made it through a 45-minute speaking engagement. You made it to the end of the day. All your children are alive at the end of the day. Like, seriously, there's always something to celebrate. And I think people skip over that. I know people that rock out major goals and they're too busy going to the next goal that they never celebrate that first goal. And when your motivation's low, it's just really helpful to remember, what have you accomplished? My goal was 3 speaking engagements for the month of May. I ended up having 6 speaking goals for the month of May. I was exhausted by the end of the month. Everybody's like, but you got 6. I was like, but it was too much. And I was like, wait a minute, I had 6. Like, this is like a big deal. And I was too worried about X, Y, and Z to celebrate the fact that I had doubled the goal. So celebrating those wins, whether they're big or small, everybody has them. If you wake up and you're breathing the next day, you always have something to celebrate. So make sure you're celebrating those wins.
Yeah, and that is so important. And I actually just learned that this year when I was talking to my coach, and I was going, oh, like I feel like I haven't done anything. And then she reminded me of all these things I did do. I'm like, oh, yes, I did do those and I killed it.
Exactly. I think as a mom, we get so wrapped up in helping and helping get everybody else around and doing things that we don't take stock of what we actually do in our business, in our mom life, as a wife or whatever. We all accomplish many, many things a day, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with celebrating that. Because it helps keep you motivated.
All the little wins, more little wins than big ones, but that's okay, right? Because it's those little steps that you have to take to get to that one big win. So celebrate, because it'll make you feel better and it'll get you to that goal.
Right. It keeps you motivated.
It definitely keeps you motivated. And having someone push you, like, don't do this alone. Honestly, do not do this alone. Because I know, because I've done, real estate alone and business alone forever, because my husband doesn't really like business talk, right? And
mine doesn't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand it at all.
Business, and he'll just make fun of me or whatever, right? And now, when I speak, he doesn't even know what I'm saying because I'm talking gibberish to him. Because the terminology that I've gained, he's like, it's way over his head.
Yep. Mine's been employed for 32 years at the same job. So self-employment to him and running a business is, Greek.
Oh, we run our own business, but he does appraisals, right? He looks at houses and he evaluates homes, and that's it.
That's his zone.
One track mind.
Yeah, that's his zone.
Right?
That's his zone of genius, and he stays in his lane.
It is. He's amazing at what he does. It is. I'm not complaining about it. It's just like I can't talk to him. So I had to find somebody else to talk to. And it's just been so much better. So, you know, even if you're not partnering with somebody, just having somebody in business and knowing your struggles, you know, that is your accountability partner, your group, your people.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Find your accountability people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can be different things for different, I mean, your health accountability partner might not be your business partner. You know, I mean, accountability in different areas of life looks different. Because like you said, they might not know a thing about business, but they can rock out a burpee and get you to do a gazillion push-ups, you know? So it doesn't have to be the same person. Yeah, they'll push you to your limits. So I found that too, that, you know, everybody's like, I'm like, yeah, no, my accountability, like sometimes they'll overlap, but most of the time, no, they're like this accountability for this for that. And yes, it means more people for me to check in with, but it's shorter and more concise, and we're both on the same page.
Everyone's winning.
Yeah, everybody's winning. So awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all those tidbits. Anybody's watching, you know, I hope you guys got some value out of this. I hope you guys are going to write out your goals, put them in the chat so that I can be, you know, checking in with you once in a while, and just to make sure that you're achieving your goal. You know, don't keep it inside. Tell somebody, because you are 75% more likely to do it, to get to your goal, if you tell somebody. Write it down and tell somebody. All right. That is what I've learned today from you, Sondra. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine, for your time. Thanks for the invite.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.